Hey everybody, Jeff Cohen from Seller Labs, and I have Chris McCabe on. Hey Chris, how you doing today?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. So I asked Chris, I started having like this conversation with Chris via email and some of the other 800 different ways we communicate with each other.
Great.
And we kind of stopped and said, let's record this. Let's share this with everybody else. And so what we were talking about is POAs. So, if you get a POA from Amazon, what do you do?
POA request.
A POA, right? A POA request. If you get one from Amazon, what do you do? How do you handle it? Do you hire somebody? Do you do it yourself? And so that's really what we want to try to tackle really quickly in a short conversation. So, Chris, let's just kind of start off with I'm preparing. It's the middle of Q4. And I get a POA request from Amazon. What is a POA request, and what does that mean to me? Let's just assume that I've never gotten one before. Like, What does that mean to me, and what do I need to be like thinking about?
Right. Fair enough. And there are still some sellers that have never been suspended before, so this will be valuable for them as well, because you have to learn this stuff very quickly. You have to understand what they're asking for. A POA isn't just dashing off some answers to their questions and concerns. It's an actual formal particular format, and it's a document they need from you in order to reinstate the account. Unless they're just asking you for invoices and authenticity letters and they don't ask for a POA, you're almost always asked for a POA.
Yeah.
And if you send them something that was half-baked, this isn't the time of year to do that, because of course it'll take them some time just to respond to you, and then they respond in an unfavorable way. They used to say, we need more information from you, which is very vague. You're not sure what kind of information is missing. Now they've switched the language to, we need greater detail from you. So I'll answer your question with, make sure you give them a detailed plan of action, which is essentially an improvement plan, identifying what went wrong, how you've identified the causes behind buyer complaints, brand complaints, suspended for, but also the solutions, the real solutions that you can implement quickly and not just roll out over time, vague promises. I think those are the basic mistakes a lot of first-time suspended people make. So,
awesome. So yeah. you have some we'll call them like suspension boot camp tips, right? Like
right.
I just got suspended.
Right.
What do I do? How do I deal with it? How do I decide whether this is something I should do, whether I should come to somebody like you, hire a service to help me? Walk through some of the thinking that sellers should be going through when that happens.
So you have no time to waste, but you also can't benefit from a hastily written appeal, because that'll get kicked back to you. So I'm encouraging people, especially this week and this month, to decide right away, am I handling this myself, or am I getting somebody with professional expertise to do it for me? I wouldn't troll the internet looking for copy and paste templates. That's generic content. That's one reason Amazon started messaging people saying we need greater detail in the first place. That's a waste of your time. Spend that time digging into your Seller Central account, working with your Amazon account manager if you have one. That time could be much better spent. So decide if you're doing it yourself, or if you're getting somebody like me to answer those tough questions from the very beginning. If you hedge, then you're costing yourself time. You're still not going to know if they're going to answer your last appeal. It might take them days to answer your appeal. So you need to know, if you're going to try it even once, that you're going to submit something that has a halfway decent chance of being accepted. So I'm encouraging people to make that decision first. I'm not offended if you don't hire me right away, but
right. So it's kind of like the way I kind of shared it with you. It's like, if your house, if you have a fire, you need to have a plan, right? If there's an earthquake, you need to have a plan. This is like your emergency preparation, and you should have a plan now. That doesn't mean you need to like contact Chris or somebody else that's like that, but know who these people are, know who you want to go reach out to if there is a problem and you want somebody.
Have an emergency
plan.
Not
scrambling.
So you don't have to research. I mean, have an idea of what items that you sell that people are returning at a high rate, or what kind of item quality complaints you've gotten, or authenticity complaints, or safety complaints. Have that in a spreadsheet if you don't have that automated already. Have it ready to go so that you can answer for some of these questions. Why are buyers complaining about those items? What kind of content goes into a POA? Do I write paragraphs? Do I write bullets? How long should it be? Like, have those answers before the suspension hits, because then you don't have to waste time thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't know who to talk to. I'm going to jump on a group and ask, post a message there and ask everybody else how they did it. I mean, it has to be customized content. I can't emphasize that enough. The more you use templates or generic content, the happier investigators are that they don't have to spend any time on you and they can throw you away.
So is there
customized content? That's if you get nothing out of this.
Is there a certain format? Is there a certain format? Is there a certain? I'm going to choose to do it myself, right? I don't want to. I don't want to pay. I want to choose to do it myself.
Right.
Is there a certain format that I should follow? Is there certain things that I should make sure that I say?
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I feel that most people who get suspended act like, "What? Me? What did I do?"
Yeah.
And a lot of it is digging deep to actually figure out what you did, and talking to somebody who's a professional will ask you the really tough questions that you have to answer honestly.
Yeah.
But I can answer those honestly myself. I want to write my own POA.
Mm-hmm.
What format does that look like? What type of content do I want to put in there?
Right. So format, quick answer is have a brief introduction that lays out what the investigator is about to read very concisely and directly. You know what went wrong. You figured it out. You're about to guide them through all the steps that you've taken to upgrade your processes and resolve every complaint or problem that came in. Introduction number 1. Second section, root causes, bullet, bullet, bullet. Usually no more than 2 or 3. You don't need a marathon of them. You don't want to be repetitive. Causes are different from root causes. A cause is, you said that a bunch of buyers complained that I had inauthentic items. They already know that. That's a cause. Root cause is buyers complained about inauthentic items because the packaging was different than what they saw in the image on the website. Total big important difference, crucial difference. Don't give them causes, give them root causes. Third section, plan of action. This is your improvement plan. Several bullets that take them through why you've resolved this permanently. It will never come up again. You're using different suppliers that have higher quality merchandise. You've corrected for that safety complaint because you're doing different kinds of testing and item inspection. Whatever it is, the POA has to convince them that it's been fully resolved with details. Again, custom content with details, not we retrained everybody and everything's better, or we look at listings more times per day now. It has to convince them that the problem's been solved, not just tell them what they want to hear. And then a short conclusion, tying it together, asking them for reinstatement. That's the fourth section.
All right. So tell them
as quickly as I can talk.
Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them it.
Right.
Tell them what you told them. Kind of sounds like we're going back to old school.
Do some analysis.
Report writing.
Do some analysis. Don't hastily bang something out because you think that'll get you reinstated faster. This is the wrong time of year for that. I'm not telling people to sit on it for a week because it might take them a week just to respond to you, right? So do it quickly for sure, but do it smartly and quickly. So if you can do it yourself and it's a good enough POA, I mean, if you have any doubts, for anyone who works with Seller Labs, if you're like, I'm about to send this POA, I'm happy to take a look at it before you submit it. Just send it to me.
Awesome. So, so I write my own. I put my emergency preparedness plan together. I know that I'm going to do this myself or I'm going to come to you.
Right.
I have a sense of what my template should look like, so I'm not scrambling.
Mm-hmm.
I have a sense of my metrics, so I have an understanding of what I could potentially have a problem with.
Right. And no denial. Do not sit there denying that there's a problem. If you're defensive or if you blame brands, buyers, if you blame Amazon, they throw those away. They have no time for that BS this time of year. They're going to toss it. So don't even bother doing it.
So I think you said that it can take several days to get an answer. At what point do I choose to create an escalation? I know a lot of people like to say, I want to create a Bezos escalation. Yeah. At what point am I creating an escalation?
Right. So that's the last point I wanted to make. A couple of different things I want to say about it. First of all, you don't escalate to Jeff unless you have an excellent foolproof plan of action and a solid appeal that gives them the documentation they need and the proactive steps they need to consider you safe for reinstatement on other escalating. You can send an escalation asking for a response, however, earlier. You can write that to seller performance, product quality teams. I can help people understand that, but if you haven't heard from them in 2 or 3 days, the contact might be lost. Maybe they read it, they annotated your account, they forgot to message you back. There's nothing wrong with sending a nudge email, as it's called, or an escalation request saying, hey, we already sent your plan of action. We didn't get a response. It's Q4. We're trying to sell, provide a good buyer experience. We're trying to sell as much as possible right now. Please answer us as soon as you possibly can. So there's different kinds of escalation doing Q4. If it's an escalation that your POA was rejected for no discernible reason, you have to write to Jeff and you know your POA is 100% ready to go. That's different. I would definitely say you can write to Jeff in a situation like that if you're 100% sure it's ready to go.
Yes, that Jeff, not this one.
Yeah, not Jeff Cohen. You should send some of these to Jeff Cohen because he'll send them to me. But
Yeah. Send me all your POAs. No, I'll get inundated and I'll get lost. All right.
Yeah.
So ecommerce.chris.com is your website.
Right. And if you have a POA, if you work with Seller Labs, you're already a Seller Labs client, you want to email me, chris@ecommercechris.com. You've got a POA you're about to send. I can give it a quick once over before you submit. So.
Awesome. So to quick recap,
Yeah.
it's that time of the year. Things are crazy. Things are busy. You've got a lot on your mind. Take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and think ahead to what you're going to do if you get a POA request from Amazon. Think ahead. Know your plan of action. Be prepared for this because you don't want to be down any longer than you need to.
Right.
If you choose to go to a professional, know who those professionals are beforehand. Understand how to communicate with them, contact them. Understand you might pay a little extra if you want to be expedited, move to the top of the list.
Yeah.
That's pretty standard in the industry. If you want to go at it yourself, understand what your template is going to look like. Have some examples.
Don't use a template.
Don't use a template, but have your own template, your own
custom
set in mind
templates. Yes.
of at least how the format of the page should look. Yeah. If you're a Seller Labs customer and you want Chris to review that before it's sent, Chris will do that free of charge. And if you guys have any other questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments below, and we will talk to you guys soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Q4.
Thanks, Jeff.